Yeah? All right, cool. Now my speaker notes are where they're supposed to be, and all right, here we go. So yeah, all that other stuff, bit.lys and all that stuff inside. So Department of Technology and Curriculum and Instruction, because I had a lot of feedback from Lindsay and also from Jan Bautista from MPD, and some of their samples are here. The PE department also has a sample in this little choice board that I made for digital notebooks in SFUSD and beyond that you guys are going to check out in just a little bit. Warm opener. So it's a story, and so I'm going to tell a little story to begin with. And the story is about this writer's core teacher that used to come to my classroom every Friday. And she would bring these notebooks. And then she brought the notebooks, and then she brought a bag of scrap paper, a bag of stuff to decorate it with. And that one day, the kids, all they were doing was decorating their notebooks and making them their own. And it was just a really vibrant class session as they developed, as they personalized their notebook. And then they just kind of cherished that piece as they went through and wrote every Friday in it. It was just cool. And so these digital notebooks have reminded me of that and how we can build in these pieces of personalization within them. How about you all? How have you used notebooks, digital or physical, in your classroom? And what did you do to have students personalize them or make them their own? You could answer in chat, or you could just open up your microphone and answer in the microphone. It's fine.
Bueller?
No, we're going to hold the silence.
No, oh, sorry, I just didn't want to bogart the time. Maybe as, I don't know if I'm the most recent classroom teacher, but I was teaching 5th grade, you know, just up till the last November, and science. And I just used science notebooks religiously, and students would personalize them, but I would give them parameters because I just got tired of seeing like, you know, video game emblems on them. I wanted there to be some connection to science sketching. So we would practice science sketching, and then they would sketch something that would represent them. So there might, they seem to enjoy it. I don't know if it's as much as that total free-for-all, but I had to rein it in a little bit.
So I see some cool things in the chat, and it's always nice to have other voices in the room. So why don't you guys go ahead and open up your mics. If you wrote something there, go ahead and tell us what it was.
My last 3rd grade class, it was the whole year, it was focused on nature and ecology. So they got a actual sketchbook instead of a science notebook, but it was an actual sketchbook. And we had a beautiful garden in our school. And so the students went out and they covered the notebook, the front part, that's like the sketch brown page. They pasted on a white piece of paper, and then they made a natural collage and drew that on the front. So that was what they had, all full of nature. And then throughout the year, they drew in their sketchbook, their science stuff. So all of it was in there.
Right on.
I was sharing that I mostly taught 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade, and we had lots of different notebooks that we used, but and as a way to kind of build community without food, I would sometimes buy stickers of things that were trending or important to a particular student or whatever. I'd buy stickers, and every once in a while, like celebratorily, just give everyone let everyone choose a sticker. And then sometimes students would bring in stickers. And so it was kind of like a community collection on our notebook, in addition to kind of some of the other things that we put in the chat. I liked some of the things that Rahima and Nikki were putting. I could relate to those too.
Thank you, folks. Thank you. We're going to move on unless there's anybody else that wants to chime in with one of their ideas that I didn't capture in the chat. All right, we're going to move on. Intros. I think we all know each other. I'm Ricardo Lizaldi, Digital Learning Partner in the Department of Technology. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Should we say our names? We should maybe say our names. So open up your mic and say your name and where you teach or what department you're in. I think I kind of know, but you know, just so everybody else knows.
My name is Rahima, and I work with the elementary ELA department.
Thank you, Rahima. Welcome.
Anastasia, work with elementary science.
Anastasia, welcome.
Nikki Thornton, I work with the elementary ELA team as well.
Lindsay Hatfield, I work with Rahima and Nikki in elementary ELA. It's like a mini team meeting. Make it the breakout room. Just kidding.
So the rest of you DOT people.
I'm Jessica Peterson. I work on the digital learning team.
And I'm Devorah Merling. I work on the digital learning team. Hi, everyone.
Cool, everybody. Thank you for coming. We did that. Here's our agenda: warm up note, intros, some objectives and norms. We're going to explore some digital notebooks, some from SFUSD, and some others that I found. You're going to choose one. You're going to look at some technology tips, and then we're going to explore ways to make thinking visible as far as feedback, as far as reflection, and maybe even think about how we're going to adapt it to early elementary as well, because there's some stuff that might be geared towards later elementary school. And then my favorite part is the personalization of the journal, which is a collage making piece. And so we're going to look at ways to do that as well. Norms. I learned about these norms last semester, and they're really important to have in front of us now. These are the braver norms. Very simply, I'm just going to read them out loud. Keep liberation for the oppressed at the center. Be part of the solution towards liberation. Be present and comfortable in discomfort. It's very simply. Objectives. We're going to explore and choose a journal, explore ways to make thinking visible, and explore some technology tips, which is essentially what the agenda said. All right, so you ready? See what I've crafted, what I found? Before we go to explore, some of these are generic, ready to be adapted. Others are specific to a discipline. Some use tabs, a table of contents, or both. Some you add templates from the layout, others by duplicating a page, very simply. And this is adding a template from the layout. And this is duplicating a template page so that you could use it within your body, okay? And very simply, we're gonna look at these questions, but we're gonna go ahead and explore the digital notebook choices. I think I've given about 7 to 8 minutes to explore the different ones that are there. So go ahead and check them out, check other disciplines, check some of the generic ones, and go and see what you find. I'll say about 7 minutes. And when we come back, we're going to talk about these questions. And essentially, those were Lindsay's questions that she gave me the other day. So maybe she could lead the end of discussion, the closing discussion when we get to it. I'm going to plug up my computer. So go ahead. Feel free to go ahead and explore that choice board. As you guys explore, I'm going to stop sharing. Maybe.
Ricardo, the designated ELD notebook isn't linked, just FYI.
Oh. All right, let's see if I can do that. Stop sharing. Thank you for telling me, Anastasia. All right, so it's linked now, folks.
Connie, are you a classroom teacher or are you a TSA?
I'm both.
Oh, lucky.
So I teach one class at Lincoln. I'm an ethics studies teacher in high school, and
Okay.
I am a TSA for the multilingual pathways department.
Hey, Connie, thanks for coming.
Hi.
You get 2 salaries, I hope? That sounds like so much.
It's part-time for each, so.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Mhm.
I'll say about another minute or so. All right, so about 30 more seconds and then we'll launch into our discussion. All right, so Lindsay, if you wanted to lead this part, or we can co-lead.
Sure, I don't mind.
Yeah. So those are the questions.
You know I love to talk, just kidding. When Ricardo and I and several people have had conversations about notebooks over the past couple of weeks, it's all what I hear from other people, it always surprises me and opens my mind to the different ways that people use notebooks. And so I think there's many ways that we could have this conversation, but I'm also trying to think about who we are and how we're approaching this inquiry. And so I wonder if we could maybe change the frame to be something like, what were you noticing about some of the notebooks that you looked into, and what did that make you think about instruction or learning? Maybe something like that. Does that feel like a prompt that's inclusive to our, okay, cool. And I can start off, and then hopefully we can feel comfortable sharing or even asking questions if that feels more relevant.
Okay.
But I've been thinking a lot about how to have pages of a notebook be more empowered and driven by students. And so I really like the idea of having a few templates that students are using with repetition, so that eventually they're selecting the template that matches the way. I just need a little bit of skill building around creating a template in the slide deck, but I think I can do it. I think I can. What was someone else noticing?
Yeah, I was thinking about that as well. Like, I'm thinking at about second and third grade currently, and I know when I was in the classroom, I used notebooks for many different purposes. And when I was looking at some of the notebooks, they already had populated templates and ideas, and I was like, shoot, I don't know what the read aloud's gonna be like a couple of weeks from now. So thinking about something that's like a little more open and broad, and I didn't get to click on it, but I'm interested in following up in the video that talks about how to make a change on the master copy that impacts the other one, because that is another question that came up for me. That's what I'm thinking about right now.
I really liked, I didn't know that I was going to get into such a big rabbit hole as I started exploring these notebooks, and do a lot of work with digital portfolios. And my digital portfolio course has a notebook component to it. And, but as I was exploring it for this session after the science PD on interactive notebooks, I really ended up digging Matt Miller's notebook example, because he has a bunch of resources on the bottom, and then you can kind of build it out. And so I ended up creating like 3 videos for you all, for whoever was in attendance today, on working within that Matt Miller notebook, creating sections for yourself, creating a table of contents that you can build out, and then creating a resources section with all of his different resources that are there already. And so I just like the idea of, because Rahima, right? No, Nikki. As Nikki was saying, I don't know what's going to happen in 3 weeks in my class. I can't design a whole notebook for the whole year. And one suggestion that I made at the science PD was, maybe this notebook only goes for 3 weeks. And then after that, I close the unit and I start another notebook. And maybe that way I can hold the information within contained there and adapt it for the next time around. So those are the things that I'm thinking as far as instruction, as far as using this as a tool that will be something that you keep coming back to.
I think, Ricardo, you're also touching on a point. If I heard you correctly, I think the last thing you said was as a tool that we can keep coming back to. And that's another interesting conversation that we could have is what is even the purpose of having a notebook? What do we hope that how do we hope that it will support their engagement? How will it inform what we know about our students and what we teach next? So I wondered if maybe some new voices could share how they imagine or can see notebooks being used.
Well, I came today because I imagined 30 teachers here talking about how they loved the notebooks, hated the notebooks. I was totally going to be a fly on the wall and just figure out exactly what you're saying. Just how are they accessible to teachers? Do teachers find them easy to push out and use the ones that, your beautiful ELA notebook, and then you saw the one that was made by a science coach, or maybe you didn't, but there's one in there made by a science coach at Ortega, I think. And it's very prescriptive, but only because she's trying to get everybody through things with distance learning. So that's my huge question is how, people who are in the classroom, what are they finding useful and what do they want more of? I talked to one 5th grade teacher who just said, even the 5th graders at Alvarado just aren't that adept at tech. So it's just this whole other level of trying to, we're teaching science, but where's this? So she said her grade level partner or somebody else there was just having kids comment. So she I guess makes a copy of the slide deck and they put in comments that you can see their name on the side. And this teacher said it was great because it was very low tech. So just the whole, I hadn't thought about how difficult the tech would be, and I wanted other ideas of other people's experiences before I continued thinking about how to make this good.
One thing I have done with my mentee, because she went to the PD in August and then was really excited about using the interactive notebooks and then got them into the hands of the students, and then it was like bombardment of questions that she just was like, whoa, what is this? And I said, okay, so for each lesson, do a mini tech lesson.
Right.
So that's how she's processing it with them. So she thinks, we sit down and we think through, okay, what skills do you need technology-wise to do the task that's being asked? And then what's the smallest parts of that? And then how can we build on those pieces as we go along? So that's how she's done it. And it's been really successful. So
nice.
The kids can now make a page and type in there, and they understand their sharing settings so that she can see their work and other students can see their pages. So they have it. She's been doing really good work with the students with the content, adding pictures. So like each time we've kind of gone through with the tech mini lesson, then the main science lesson, then the activity.
And what grade?
5th.
Oh, I would love to watch her.
She's good.
I was in a 5th grade class. I was in a 5th grade class and they actually were navigating a notebook, and the teacher just said, and once a student has found the page in their notebook, let others know what slide it is. So they just scrolled that way. It's interesting to watch the students come up with strategies on it too.
Yeah.
Well, that's what you want. You want them to come up with strategies. You want them to learn how to how to copy and paste templates into
Yeah.
the right section and all those different pieces, because
sure.
then you're empowering them to move forward. Yeah. Any other ideas that you want to share before we move on? Thanks for the discussion, folks. All right. So now the goal was for you to choose one. But you guys already have them, right? You guys already have some sort of a notebook that you're using, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we could probably just move.
We got a whole choice board full of them now.
Yeah.
Not to confuse you further. But okay, fair enough. So you're supposed to choose one. Boom, make a copy of it. I chose Matt Miller's version. Some ideas for how to adapt. These are the videos that I was talking about. Creating a hyperlink table of contents and sections pages. Students adding pages from the resources section. And these are just instructional videos that has me walking through these steps. And they're all under, I think they're all under 2 minutes. And you want to see one? You want to see one? Okay, I'll pick the best one. No, that's not the best one. Okay, I'm gonna pick this one. No sound, of course.
So I'm in my notebook master. So I've created my table of contents, and I just would like to have my students begin to add pages to their sections. And so let's say I'm a teacher and I say, today you are working in your journal. What I would like you to do is duplicate the comic strip in your resources section and add it to section 1. So I'm a student, and I'm going to grab my resources section. I'm going to go down to slide 5, and I'm going to start perusing this section to see where the comic book slide is. And I find the comic book slide on slide 11. And I copy, and then I bring it up to section 1 as my teacher has instructed me to do, and I simply paste the slide there. And then I begin to work to create my comic strip about what I've learned in class for the week, or something to that effect. Thank you.
So very simply, you could use this little instructional video to, you know, any resource on that list for this template. Yeah, so just ideas for how to adapt. That's how to work within the comic strip to build it. Just for your information. Let's move forward, yes? So otherwise we're gonna be stuck here watching just a bunch of videos. All right, some ideas for how to personalize. Very simply, what it's asking you to do is to add pictures to your slides, right? And the way the mild and medium asks you to take pictures from your camera, so that if the child drew something, right within slides, if the child drew something, they could take a picture of their camera and it'll appear on their slides. The last one is an Adobe Spark collage maker, and that video takes you right through making that collage. And for the science PD, we did an about me of you as a scientist, but this is more of an about me, a little bit more wide open, geared towards whatever discipline you have, like that. So I think the ELD personalized it by asking them, what kind of an English learner do you want to be? Why do you want to develop your English language? Like that. Just for your information. And these are linked to the sections below in the slide deck that walk you through the steps to do this in your slide deck. Notebook logistics, very important. Make a copy of your own, name it, wait, where'd it go? Oh, make a copy of your master. Name it notebook student version. And so just very simply, so that you have a master copy and you have a student copy, right? And the student version copy is the one you send out via Google Classroom. That's the one that the students are going to be working with, right? And you send it out and you have them make a copy for everyone when you create the assignment in Google Classroom. notebook logistics, assign students via classroom, make a copy for each student. To continue, direct students to slides.google.com. And it's just an easier way to find your slide deck. So if I went to, for example, slides.google.com, I'm gonna see the most recent slide decks that I've been working on. And you essentially told the students what to name it, and so they're able to find it really simply. So you could see, I've been in this deck, I've been in this deck, and these are the ones that are gonna pop up for students as well, right? The ones they've most recently worked on. Any questions so far? All right, let's move on. 336, oh my God. Ways to make thinking visible. What this PD was titled. So 3 different types of feedback tools that we have. We have the tag feedback, we got the 3 B's feedback, and the 2 stars and a wish. There's an example of these students at Cesar Chavez using feedback. Let's check out the video. All right, here we go.
No, you make it sure you're working on your essay right here. Nice work. All right, now that you guys have switched, you know what you're doing.
Such as remote cell phones. Quite dangerous.
You're gonna get a chance to go look at your work and look at the feedback people gave you and check out what people said. But we're not done with this whole process. You're doing a lot of that. It's time to have a seat in your assigned seat.
Inches 2 and inches 7. I mean, the other one's different. I think that your rating is really good, and something that maybe you could work on is maybe when you're like saying the quote at the end, you could say like something from your opinion about the quote, or like something about the quote that like then, you know, just something of your words.
Thank you for sharing, Luna. And Kevin, thank you for receiving that feedback. Because
yeah,
as an author, you don't have to take the feedback, but it's really nice to be able to hear it and get some ideas.
I wrote one for myself.
Awesome.
Add more to your intro.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So what was your intro right now?
Service animals can help people.
Right, that's basically just getting straight to the point and not leaving any room, right? So you're thinking maybe expand that a little bit to make it even more interesting?
Yeah.
So there you go. I love that example. It was a wonderful workshop at Chavez, looking at feedback and giving feedback for writing. And it was 5th grade. Anybody else want to talk about any of these feedback models? Have you used them before? How would it work for little kids, little kids? All right. If not, then I'm going to move on and I'm going to share. Is it okay, Anastasia, if I share our feedback piece that we did for the science? Is that cool? All right. So the feedback protocol for this one was to ask a question, make a connection, and give a compliment. And you know, the other piece is that we're doing this in Seesaw, but you could just as easily do it within a breakout room and a setting like that, a Zoom setting like that. The previous ones too, I think it would be not super easy to do it in a breakout room in Zoom, but it's doable if you're giving this information to the kids so that maybe the feedback protocol is on their notebook and that's what they're looking at while they're in the Zoom session.
Notice I'm in the Activities tab of the SFUSD Science Classroom. Here's the assignment right here. I know that 2 of my students have turned something in, so I'm going to go over to the journal. In the Journal tab, I can see that Anastasia and Carolyn have already turned in their collages. Here's Anastasia's collage.
I chose lots of different pictures for my science notebook today because I wanted to capture all the ways that I feel science-y.
Now I'm going to go back and we're going to get a glance at Carolyn's.
Hi, this is Carolyn, and I chose these pictures for my science notebook because I feel like I'm always asking questions and I love the beach.
And there you have an idea of the 3 different posts that we have. We have a collage from me, we have a collage from Carolyn, and we have a collage from Anastasia. Then we give the students in the class a protocol for commenting. They could either ask a question, make a connection, or give a compliment.
The rocks you collected on the beach are absolutely beautiful. I love rocks too, and I hope I can see them someday.
One question, how's your eye doing? One connection, I love walking in the woods as well. And a compliment, I love the variety of pictures that you have and how leafy green they are.
Hi, Ricardo. I love gardening too, and I love cooking, and I love cooking with what's in my garden. So I was really happy to see that you had those things on your notebook too, because they remind me of what I like.
So there you go. That's some ways to make thinking visible. I don't really have a discussion prompt for this, but do you guys want to say something about the different pieces that we've seen? How can you adapt it to make it for your grade level? If it felt too young, how would you make it for older kids? If it felt too old, how would you build it for younger kids?
Did you create that on Seesaw? Or
that last piece was yes, we created it on Seesaw, and then I took a video of it, on Camtasia.
So did you all take screenshots of your slide and then upload that? That's how you did it?
Yeah, that's how we did it. Okay. That was the simplest way to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's making me think about how do we ping pong and dance around the different interfaces and use these apps and tools together well.
One way definitely is to take pictures and then just add them to Seesaw so you can have a discussion across the classroom where people can comment on each other's work. That's one definite, fairly easy way if a lot of people are getting used to using Seesaw. Any other comments before I move on? All right, cool. Let me move on then. This is my favorite reflection tool. These 40 reflection questions, they're built backward looking, inward looking, outward looking, and forward looking. And that's an example from the backward looking, does this work tell a story? And you guys can see the different examples. But there's 10 per section on that doc. So oftentimes, if I have teachers using this doc, I'll pull out the questions, and if they don't like the questions, I give them the link to the doc. It'll be a slide, something like this. If you don't like the questions, go find your own question. But it's a really wonderfully reflective tool. Yeah, has anybody ever used it? Have you guys used it?
No.
No, check it out. It's an Edutopia article that came out several years ago, and I've used it in different instances for training teachers, for training kids, to look at their work. And this could easily be adapted into a journal, right? It could be set up just like this as a page, as a template page in a journal, and have them just reflect on it there, type in it. Yeah, I would even have kids drawing and taking pictures of their stuff and then putting that in their journal as well. If they want to write it out, they could write it out and then put that link, that picture into their journal of them writing it. So yeah, take a look at that reflection question doc. It's a really good doc. I think that might be all I got. This is these were the links at the beginning when you're mild, medium, and spicy. This is what they look like. Personalizing your cover, medium, personalizing your cover, and then extra spicy. That one right there is using Adobe Spark, which is a really wonderful tool as well that kids can dig into. And it's free for everybody. And closing, I think that's all I have, unless you guys have any last words. How could I adapt this to make it more beneficial to folks? I guess this is my question to you, leaders of the district.
You know, one of the things that I was wondering the same thing, I was like, God, how can we get exhausted teachers here who, I mean, like, it's all TSAs, right? Because at the end of the day, but one thing I was wondering is, what department are you? I'm sorry, the tech world for me is quite, it's like digital notebooks. I'm like, okay, wait. So do you have a section of the distance learning where you're offering information, you know, like where you could like post one of the videos so that if it, or put this slide deck, so if a teacher is like, yeah, that is happening.
This is going to be available as a webinar and the webinar recordings. And I think the list is on this deck of where to go find the webinar recordings. We just created it. So you could point them in that direction if they don't want to sit and hear us talk for 45 minutes. I can understand.
Oh, no, right. Exactly. Yep. Because, you know, I just feel like teachers, when they're ready to do something is usually when you know, are like, okay, and then they might come to office or to a webinar like this and be like, all right, now that I've explored it.
Sure. And I'm giving this 3 more times next week, and each time I'm probably going to have like extra videos as I dig in a little deeper. Like Nikki, I'll have that video about updating, having the master copy and then updating it, the student copy. I'll have that shortly because I just found that information, and I could sit here and explain it to you, but I would fumble through it. So I have to study it a little bit more so I can explain it nice and clearly. And so I'll probably add that as a video shortly. Not before tomorrow, but you know.
One thing I can offer up to the group, and I'd be interested in hearing what other people, continuing to hear what other people are doing, is there's so many things that teachers are thinking about, like who am I teaching? What am I teaching? And then kind of how am I going to teach it? And the how, I think, is where this piece fits in. And whatever resources or modules I'm providing, I've also started to include like short little videos where I might be including a little bit of like philosophical or pedagogical framework, or like information about asking questions or how to use text. And I've also started to include like little tech tips, however, primary there. But now that I've attended this, I'm thinking on those curricular resources, overviews and modules, I could be hyperlinking these webinars or whatever we're calling it, so that they can learn from the master and not me approximating. Or both.
I'm approximating as well.
I think the little videos are really good. Like, it would be great if it was like, here's a little video snippet of how to, right? And then the teacher can deliver the content. And then the kids can replicate it. And
Right.
that would be really powerful, I think, for them and for the teachers to take the onus off of them to be delivering that tech instruction.
Yeah.
With the different little arts.
Fair enough. All right, so to close, there's the feedback form. And so webinar recordings, it'll be right here, Anastasia, professional learning calendar, and then SFESD one-to-one tech support from the SF Ed Fund. Yeah, so there you go. And there's a bunch of resources at the end of this deck as well. There's our appendix of learning resources. There's digital backpack, Google resources, tech resources for family. Spread the word, please, about these tech resources for families, because we certainly get a lot of questions from families, and it's just a lot. Digital agency, and support for digital learning tools. All right, so folks, it's all there for you, and we're here for you as well. That's all I got for today. Thank you for coming.
Thank you,
Thank
Ricardo.
you, Ricardo.
Yeah. Let me know how I could adapt it as well, please.
Yeah, as soon as I find some teachers, I'll tell you.